It's literally like 40 degrees in my room and my window is open. So if you hear some noises, sorry for that, but I'm not going to sit in a warm room. Anyways, hi book besties. Today is August 1st, which means two things. It's officially time to listen to August by Taylor Swift, and it's time for my July reading wrap up. I have read, I think, like 10 books in July. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice. And these are all the books. So let's talk about them, shall we? Let's talk about them. I'll start from the bottom, like the book that I've read first. I have to think about it though. It's like this, yeah, it's like this. Okay, first of all, we have Magnolia Parks. It's safe to say that I'm not going to say a lot of things about this book and the next book because I quickly figured out that these books sadly just weren't for me. Yeah, no, I did not like a single bit. I can read books perfectly in one day or like 2 or 3 days if I like them. Even if I don't like them, I can read them in 3 days. But this book took a week for me to finish. A week. And the thing is, I thought that it said it was a romance. That is not a romance in my eyes. Like, this entire book is so toxic in my head. Like, they aren't even together in the book. Like, the two people that were supposed to be main characters in the book aren't even together in the book. Yeah. No, they aren't together. They are just... They are literally breaking each other's hearts all of the book, and yeah, they are toxic. But I saw on the internet that this entire series was like hate it or love it. And sadly, I bought the entire series before reading them, and I hate them. But either way, I figured, like, when I finished this book after a week, the thing in my head was like, I have to read book 2 because it's about another person and maybe I'll like them better. So this is book 2 that I read, Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. And let's be clear, I like this book better than the first one. It had way more romance in my eyes and more storyline, I guess, too. Like, it's not just being toxic towards each other. No, it's... And also, you have the point of view from the female main character's brother too in this book, so that adds a lot of story too. So I gave it 3 stars and I gave this book 2 stars because I'm never going to give a book 1 stars, but I think that I might have to change that theory. But not yet. So I gave this book 2 stars and my logics were that I had to give this book 3 stars because I liked it better than the first book. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's not really a 3-star read for me too. Because if I look at my shelves with all my 3-star reads, this is not one of them. So sadly these aren't for me, and I'm thinking of selling the entire series because they are sitting on my TBR cards. And I'm never going to read them, I think. Unless I'm in this weird mood. Or if I'm going to read them for a challenge or something, I don't know. But for now, these were the first 2 books that I read in July. Then I have The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Yeah. I was also a bit disappointed in this book. This entire month doesn't really have a lot of good books for me, sadly. Like, I'm going to read a lot of good books in August. So that will help. Anyways, I don't even really remember a lot of things that happened this book. But I guess it was like Belle and her family were shooting a documentary because her mother disappeared 16 years ago, but then suddenly she sees her mom again, and yeah, it's definitely a thriller though, and it had a few plot twists. Like, the thing with this book is that I don't really know what to say, but I remember though that the main character, Belle, was annoying me at some moments. I just think that she was a bit selfish, maybe, and mean towards her family. Are you kidding me? Sorry if you can still hear it, but it's 10 minutes later, the alarm is still going. But I shut my window. I closed my window, I don't know. But what I was saying is that the main character, Belle, was annoying me at some moments, and she was really mean towards her family and selfish and not really open-minded. She was like convinced that her mom was the bad guy, and she had literally no proof that she was the bad guy. So at the end though, like, it was a bit long, if that makes sense. But towards the end though, I was shocked, and it was an unexpected plot too. So it's not a bad book, really not a bad book. I gave it 3 stars because I didn't really have any expectations, because I wasn't really excited to buy it in the first place. It's not like this was an anticipated release for me. So I didn't really have any expectations, but I do have to say that I liked Holly Jackson's other books more. Like, everyone knows A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. It's on Netflix today though. Oh my god. Shame that I already watched it. But like, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I think that every girl or person that reads like popular books, not like classics or something, every girl or person or man, I don't know, that reads popular books on the internet have read the Good Girls Guide to Murder series and love it. Like, it's such a good series, and Five Survive, I read it like last January, I think, or a bit before that. I like that so much. I read it in one day, and that story is so good, so shocking to me too. And it's sitting there very pretty on my 5-star shelf. But this sadly wasn't doing it. It was very long again, and the end was good, but I think that it was a bit too long. But yeah, so definitely better than Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates for me. It's a total different genre too, but yeah. And then I have 2 books that I read in one day, like each in one day, not 2 books in one day. And it's The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. But this book, and the second one too, The Housemaid's Secrets, I haven't bought the third one yet. The alarm is going again. But I haven't read the third one. Haven't bought it too. I might be buying it soon, but I'm not really sure. It's about this same person, Millie. Millie is the housemaid, and in this book she goes to work for the Winchesters, and the woman, the wife, Nina Winchester, makes a mess just to watch me clean it up, and she tells strange lies about her own daughter and how her husband seems more broken every day. And I don't know, I think this book, you can read this book so fast, and it's so unexpected because I thought that I would know what would happen, but I really didn't. And yeah, I don't know what much else to say, but this book, if you like thrillers, this is definitely one you should read because it's a really good one. I don't really read a lot of thrillers. I read mostly romance, if that wasn't clear already, and mysteries maybe. But this month really was a thriller month, I guess. So yeah, if you like thrillers, definitely I think Frida McFadden is one of your authors. And then this is book 2 in the series, The Housemaid's Secret. It's about Millie again, and she goes to work for another family, the Garricks. And Mrs. Garrick is always staying in the guest room, never goes outside. And again, I thought that I would know what would happen, but I really didn't. And it's so cool to read something and be shocked and like, what? Also, it has parts. Like, first the first book has a 2, but first you read a bit about Millie and how she experiences everything, and then it switches to part 2, and then you switch to the woman in the family. In the first book it's Nina, and in the second book it's Mrs. Garrick. I don't really know her first name. And then you go to what she experiences, and then part 3 just switches between them, I think. Yeah. So again, these books are both, again, 3-star reads for me, but they really weren't bad. They were just quick reads that were that had unexpected plots, which I love. I have a book that I bought for the 19 books for my 90th birthday. And I don't know, I didn't really see it online before, but I really like it. So let me be the person to convince you to read this book. It's called Beach Rivals by Georgie Tilney, and it's about 2 people, the female main character Claire and the male main character is Jack, and they apply to work at a bookstore in, I think it was Bali. So they go there, but they have to work there for 3 months, I think it was. And they are like in charge of the bookstore. Claire is like the person to reorganize and organize events for the bookstore, and Jack is more like the financial type of guy, and he is always behind the computer doing the math stuff of the bookstore. And they have to share a flat too. I read this book in 3 days. But I was busy though, so that might be why. But it's literally such a typical romance read, I would say. I already forgot some of the other stuff that happened, but it's a really good book. I gave it 4 stars, and I think it's like a fun romance book to read when you're on vacation, or if it's like summer. Yeah. And then I have 3 books that I filmed a reading vlog for, like the 3 Emily Henry books that I posted last week. But the first one I did a reread of was Book Lovers. It's about this literary agent, Nora, and Charlie, the editor. And Nora and her sister Libby visit this town from a book where they're a fan of, and Nora keeps bumping into Charlie, and Nora and Libby have this checklist to have like the perfect once in a lifetime vacation, because once in a lifetime was the title of the book. And first you have like the prologue, and Charlie and Nora meet and they don't like each other. They have some opinions about each other, I would say. And then throughout the book, when they like, you know, meet each other more and more stuff happens and you figure things out, and it's such a cute romance. Again, it has deeper meaning than just your typical romance, so I think every Emily Henry book has deeper meaning than just a quick fun romance. But this book is so beautiful, and I don't know why. The first time I read it, like in January, I didn't really like it. I always thought that I didn't like these 3 books, but I don't know why, because I did. It's so weird. Like, my head just convinced me that I didn't like the books, but I really did. So I ended up giving this book 3 stars last January, and now I gave it 4 stars. And it's one of my favorites. Like, I think it's literally my favorite of the 3 that I read, which is crazy. Yeah. So, yeah. This is your sign. Read Emily Henry books because they're beautiful. I have People Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, and this is about 2 best friends, Poppy and Alex, and they always used to go on summer trips together because Poppy works at like a place, a travel magazine or something, and she has a blog too where she posts like also travel content. And she always used to go on vacations with her best friend Alex, but like a few years ago, on her last trip with Alex, they had like something happening and they fell out, like they didn't speak to each other. But then someone asks, I can never say that for some reason, but then someone asks Poppy when she was truly happy and she didn't really have to think about it. It was when she was on that last vacation with Alex. So she sends him a message and she's like, what's the chance that you want to go on a vacation with me again? And he's like, you know what, let's do it. I have to go to a wedding, but if you want we can like go a few days earlier and then just stay there for the wedding, and you can come to the wedding with me. So they went on a vacation together and they grew closer again, and again, deeper meaning than just your typical romance. It does have some flashbacks though, like flashbacks to the earlier vacations, and I said it last week, but I'm not a fan of flashbacks in books, so that made it like a 3-star read for me. Even though it is cool, like you can, like at some moments it's nice to read like the flashbacks because you can know their backstory too, but I feel like at some moments it's not really necessary. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars, which is still a good book, but I just didn't really love it. So yeah, again, not your typical romance. It has deeper meaning, and again, it's very beautiful. And then the last book that I did a reread from was Beach Read by Emily Henry. 2 writers, January, who is a romance writer, and Gus, who writes serious literature, you know what I mean. And they are both in a writing block, and January, her father passed away, and she goes to the lake house. Is it a lake house? I don't know. Where her father went sometimes to like get rid of his stuff and stuff. But the house next to her house where she's staying at, she sees someone, and when she goes to knock on the door to ask if it can be quiet because there's music playing very loud, she sees that it's Gus, her college enemy. They start like a bet to write a book of each other's genre, and on Fridays they go on research for the type of book that Gus would normally write, and on Saturdays January takes Gus on like dates to get in the romance vibe for him to write the romance book. The bet ends when one book gets published or like sold. They grow closer, and yeah. But again, I'm gonna say it again, this is not your typical romance. It's once again a romance with deeper meaning, and I think that every Emily Henry book is a romance but with deeper connections and deeper subjects and deeper meanings. So yeah, they're all very beautiful, but this is not a fluffy romance, if you know what I mean. And then the last book that I read is, I think, one of the most underrated books on the internet. And it's called The Happy Ever After Place by Abby Jimenez. I do have to say, I gave it 4 stars. Because I think the second half of the book was a bit dramatic. Like, a bit more dramatic than it had to be. But the first part was so cute, and I was sending videos of me talking about this book to my friends, and she was like, I need that book. Where did you buy it? So yeah, it's a good book. Why can I stop laughing? And everyone is talking about Justin from Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. But this male main character is also called Justin, and he is this famous musician that is on tour. Let's start with the beginning. So Sloane Monroe is on the way to the grave of her fiance that passed away 2 years ago when she sees a dog on the road. When they take me home, look in his eyes, and the dog like jumps on the front window of the car and jumps through the sunroof. That's weird, I know, but he does. So she takes him home, tries to call the number that is written on the collar of the dog, doesn't answer, tries again the next day, doesn't answer. 10 days later, he does answer, and he's like, wait, how do you have my dog? And she's like, he ran on the roads. Not knowing that he wasn't taking care of it, like he asked somebody else to take care of his dog. And he's like, I'm still on tour for the last, I don't know, days, for a few days. Can you take care of him for a little bit longer, and then I'll take him back, and you know. And they text and call, and they start getting to know each other, and they get a crush on each other, fall in love really fast, like really fast. And then the second half of the book, there's some drama, because obviously there's drama because he's a musician, so there's drama. But it doesn't really like annoy me that much, but I feel like it wasn't really that necessary, like it. But yeah, I didn't write the book, okay, so you know. But yeah, please let it be your sign to read this book too, because like I said, my best friend asked me in capital letters, where do I buy the book? And I was like, girl, you have to read it. I also read it so fast, like I read it in 2 days, which is insane because I didn't really read a lot, but it reads so fast. So yeah, it's amazing. I love this book. I'm going to continue to think about this book until another book pops into my hands and takes over my head and becomes my entire personality. But yeah, anyway, these are the books. Stacked, very not stable on each other, so I hope they won't fall over. But anyways, if you enjoyed this very chaotic monthly reading wrap up, please subscribe, leave a like. If you read any of these books, leave it in the comments and we'll talk about them. Let me know if I should read the rest of the Magnolia Park series, because maybe it becomes better, but I think that if it's not for me, it's not for me. But I'm still doubting to read like the other books. Anyways, hope you enjoyed and see you next week. Bye.